Well, I mean, I've always loved movies. I mean, the first movie I saw was at 5 years old, which was the first Star Wars in '77.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, it changed. It started a whole thing, with my life. But as far as film goes, I was writing a script, actually two scripts at one time, and like I said, that was about 2 years ago or so. And through that first year after I wrote the script, I started watching documentaries on my favorite directors and things like that, most notably Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez and Rob Zombie. And especially Rodriguez and Tarantino, both are like, you can do this on your own. It's not, I mean, there's science behind it, but it's not something that's not doable. And with technology being more accessible and less pricey at this point, it is possible for someone, Joe Schmo, to go out and make a movie now.
Absolutely.
I mean, heck, my phone, which is a HTC, is meant for certain types of filming by itself. So you can just do a movie. Hell, heck, Robert Rodriguez did a movie for BlackBerry that's done all by phone, not by camera. And so, so it's possible for anybody.
Absolutely. We're living in a new age of technology.
Oh,
so
yeah, and I'm loving it.
Absolutely. I am too. Let me ask you about your influences. You mentioned Rob Zombie and Quentin Tarantino. Are those the folks that you look to or have inspired you or mentors or for your...
I think my first directorial influence is actually George Romero, just because I'm such a huge fan of the original Night of the Living Dead. And it was unintentional that it had the social overtones that it did with a lead black actor and things like that. And I noticed by accident completely that one of my leads is a black actor. And not that I wouldn't put a black actor in there, so don't get me wrong. But the way it came about and how this character, as whenever you see it, you'll understand how this character came about and ended up being a black actor playing this role, and the situation that he's put in, it actually came about by accident, and it became such a more beautiful piece than what I had originally intended because of that. And so I mirror that with actually how George Romero had his film, because his main lead was a black actor, and it happened by accident. I believe, if I remember right, his original lead either didn't show up or couldn't show up, and they were like, well, you're stuck in, and he just took over. And if you watch the piece, it's almost seamless, like he was meant to be.
Wow.
So in some ways, kind of mirror in a way. It's really, really weird.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit.
Sure.
Let's talk about your writing. What motivates you to write a piece, and what are
Emotion.
Emotion?
Yeah, emotion. If I have to get something out, I'll write it.
So with this project that you're working on, Nailed Out, and we've got we're fortunate enough to have Christy Troxel in the studio, as well as Ken Parks, who's a part of this movie. Yes. How long has the project started? When did you start? And,
as far as getting cast together, we started a little over a year ago, probably about a year and a half ago. Been a lot of leaps and bounds and a couple of trenches to drudge through, but we're getting it, and it'll be worth it to me, especially once it is finished.
So take us through the process of how you select the actors for the roles that you've got.
Well, for usually you go through auditioning processes and things like that, and I had no clue how to start that. And luckily, I had friends in certain places at the time that could help me out. And at one point, I did the initial auditions in a ballroom at a hotel. And after we did that, we only had like 3 people that showed up for the whole thing. And I was like, man, I wonder if people just thought that was sleazy or something. So ended up having a friend that worked at the Alley Theater, and that's how my connection with the Alley Theater started. And so they allowed us to do auditions there, and I had a lot more people show up for that. And so that's pretty much how I started the process. I'd say about 90% of who's involved in the movie itself actually ended up not coming from the auditions themselves, but I ended up figuring out later, it's like, oh, well, this person that I know would fit best in this, and just kind of pieced together that way. But, you know, it's trial and error, and, you know, I wouldn't even say error, because I always keep a file of everyone that auditions for me for other projects.
Sure.
And I even share that with other directors that I know that, you know, might need some help on their future projects.
Now, we had the pleasure of talking before the show about Louisville's art scene. And,
Oh, yeah.
And the collaboration that's going on.
Talk about a flourish.
That's right, absolutely. And so, what do you think, positive and negative, but what do you think about the art scene, and where do you see it going in the next few years?
Well, I don't know about next few years, but I'd really like to see, and I've kind of griped about this with the music scene back now 15 years ago. But it still holds true for the entire creative scene in general today. And that is, we need to get together as a community, as opposed to, well, what are you going to do for my project? Well, if you're part of the community, we all do things for each other's projects.
Sure.
And I'm seeing some of that, but I'm still seeing too much my project, and not enough, you know, let's help each other, and then we can make a bigger community. Let's show that Hollywood's way of, you know, we're the conglomerate and that kind of thing doesn't hold true here, that we can be a community, you know. And I mean, like I said, I see some of it. I wish I see more. And, you know, I think as it goes, people will understand more, and the wannabes will be kind of flushed out.
Absolutely. Let me ask you, what do you think are obstacles as a community to overcome?
Ego.
Ego.
I mean, it all comes down to ego. It's like, you're in Louisville. Louisville has a lot of good stuff if both government, you know, meaning our mayor, governor, would embrace it more. You know, just basic local leaders embracing it more. And just as much as they do the sports and thing. I'm not a sports guy myself, so I can't help but be a little biased. But for
Cards.
those, yeah, there you go. But for those that
Second
like,
that.
but for those that like sports, you know, I mean, it's the same thing. You know, you, and I've noticed more with Cardinal fans that they'll be for both Kentucky and Louisville, unless it's Kentucky versus Louisville. But Kentucky fans are anti-Louisville no matter what. Sorry if it's not true for most people, but I've noticed it a lot. And you know, that kind of thing looks the same way in the art community. It's like, my project, your project. Well, so the obstacle's ego.
Yeah, I agree in some regards. So Louisville artists, really stretch yourselves to start supporting your local community and support local art. Buy local too,
and it doesn't just mean money. It means getting involved and being part of projects. When someone announces, "Hey, we need extras for this," or "We're doing auditions for that," or "We need crew for this," or whatever, it could be something as simple as going to get everyone donuts or something. You know, that stuff means a lot for a production. When it comes to an artist, if you have a location to show artwork or something, give a little bit of space for an artist. You know. So.
Yeah, and to that point, I want to say that the other night we were shooting a scene for another film that Christy and I are both in, called Along Came a Stranger, with Antoine Avery. And Harley was like, "You guys need any help, camera or anything?" And we said, "Yeah, sure." And he came out and ended up doing some of the scripting, a lot of the lighting and positioning, composition, as well as some of the camera work and some of the other pieces. So,
and Avery said he liked the footage that he saw, so I'm glad to have helped out in whatever way.
Well, you're being too humble, so I had to say that you're always willing to help out.
Fair enough.
And
Thank
we
you.
all appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, folks, if you're just tuning in, this is Louisville Arts Live. We do it every Saturday at 3 o'clock. We're happy to have as our guest host today Harley Morris, who's a producer, director, and writer.
Booyah.
And we're talking with him about a movie that he's working on and has been his baby for some time. It's called Nailed Down. And let me ask you.
Sure.
When you're out looking for potential ideas, or you're exploring new creative outlets, you said emotion drives you, but what are other factors? You kind of mentioned maybe you think that certain roles would work better with certain folks that you know personally.
I mean, a director is always looking, whether someone knows it or not. I mean, you're sitting right here talking to me, and I might be thinking of a particular role that you might be fittable for. So, so you never know if you're being an a-hole out there, to somebody, and I've had a lot of people do that to me. I'm considering anybody for roles, and if you're one of those people that just being one of those guys that shove off people, be mindful and be mindful for other reasons too, of just common courtesy and things like that. I try to be nice to everyone, unless you're not nice to me, then it's like, well, I don't need you. But I'm also looking for professional things to look into, and any director is. You have to keep your options open on all those levels.
Absolutely. So if folks are wanting to reach out to you about potential roles or just supporting or helping your projects, how would they go about getting in contact with you?
Well, I have everything linked through one main page, and that's official Harley Morris, one word, .weebly. And that's the website. There's a link to the movie page, my production company, which is Angry Lunch Productions, and also my art and stuff like that, if you're interested in looking at the art pages.
Well, let's talk about your art. How
Sure.
long have you been doing that, and what have you put? I mean, where have you shown your artwork, and what's your medium that you?
I've never really shown my artwork but once, and that was at Louisville Arts Live back about a month ago. And thank you for that, by the way.
No, thanks for coming out and supporting.
As far as how long I've been doing it, seriously, I was doing it since probably 2002. And I started doing it serious by I was working with an artist by Damian Walburn, and he has this comic book character called Realmer, and he needed an inker and or a tracer, depending on who you're talking to, and so he said, well, what do you think about inking? And I was like, well, I know nothing about it. Would you like to learn? And I said, sure. And so, through trial and error, I learned. He taught me a lot of different things, but I realized that I wanted to draw more than ink, and so I started drawing more. I needed to hone my art. Pardon it. And so as it went on, my art really started to look really good, and I'm very hard on myself with critique.
Sure.
So if I'm saying that I liked what I was doing, then that's huge for me.
Harley, for folks that don't know what inking is, can you describe that?
Yeah, it's taking the pencil work, the skeleton of a piece of art, and then enhancing the lines with shadows, with drastic features, so it brings out the art pages more for a comic book or whatever art piece that you're doing.
So we're talking about taking a sketch and then filling it in to round out the visual of it?
Yeah, that for small talk of it, yeah, that's about right.
Okay, great. Well, in the studio today, if you guys are just tuning in, this is Louisville Arts Live. We've got Harley Morris, who is producer, director, and writer of Nailed Down. And we also have two of his cast members in the studio, Ken Parks and Christy Troxel. Tell us a little bit about the roles that Ken and Christy are playing in this movie, if you don't mind.
Ken Parks is one of the two main leads, and Christy is a side character that helps realize where the movie really comes from. And I can't go too much more into that without giving away like the entire plot. But sure. She is to me one of the intricate side characters for the movie. And if I didn't have that character in there, then it would just be kind of a slosh movie, so but Ken has brought it. I'm very impressed with everything I've seen.
Thank you.
And same thing with Christy just she washed her hands and said, let's do this, and I'm very proud of both of them.
Great.
Thank
I'm
you.
very proud of my whole cast and crew, by the way, so it's not just them. But
all right, well folks, I think we're going to switch gears a little bit. Ken.
Hello, Sean.
Hello, sir. Now, not divulging too much of the movie, can you give the character's name for Ken?
Let's see.
Adam.
Adam, yeah.
Also known as the guest.
I had it on the script as guest and host, so we went through names pretty recent, so I'm still learning it myself.
Yeah.
Ken, let's talk a little bit about your acting, let's talk about what it takes for you to get into a particular role, namely with Adam in this role, the host.
Yeah, certainly. This role was a fun challenge for me, because this one, a lot of what sells this, what makes this role read, is the emotion and what I have going on inside of me, what my motivations are for what I'm thinking, what I'm doing at that time, and for all that I did that got me there. And again, we can't divulge too much, but this one I had to really, really pull out from a lot of emotion, of real life experience. And with that being said, when you see the film, not what you think, but just from other contradictory type of emotional avenues, things.
Yeah, it's really outside of his character.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the wonderful thing, again, without giving too much away about this film is there's a few switches or some plot switches, and you really don't know who the antagonist or protagonist is within this, and that makes it a beautiful thing. That's one thing I love in a film. Anytime any independent or big budget film makes me say aha or wow or I didn't see that coming, or has something I call intelligent foreshadowing, but then throws you for a curve. I love it, and Harley's done a wonderful job. I hope he touches base on a little bit of what the motivation was behind this. One of the things that got me interested in this with Harley, after getting to know him and seeing that he was for real and that he had some really strong passion behind this, was the reason for him doing this. And there's certain things in this film that, how can I say this, go far, far beyond what I typically would ever want to do in acting. And after hearing what the motivation was behind this and why he did it, that sold it on me. I'm just like, amen. I totally get that. I'm down with why you're doing this, and I'll help sell that. So,
well, Harley, what was the motivation behind this piece?
My wife and I had some issues with a previous friend. I won't go too much further into that, but our trust was violated. And I had a lot of anger that I needed to get out. I mean, it was either create something out of it,
sure,
or be destructive. And I chose the creative route. And I'm glad, and nailed down, it's going to be the influence of that.
Great. And
me and my wife have trust issues anyway, on personal levels, but nailed down has been very therapeutic for me, in that it helped me create something that I feel like, at least for me, is unique on where it comes from. Now, when it comes out, it'll be probably lumped into what's considered torture porn or something, along the lines of Saw or Hostel and things like that. But I think it's going to have more of a thriller aspect to it. And which is what I wanted. I wanted to bring a little bit of that, maybe Silence of the Lambs sort of, hint to that and things like that, and visually probably have modern day take on Hitchcockian style, where some of it's hinted at and you don't necessarily see everything, but
sure,
you're going to see some things that are going to make you uncomfortable. And I love Rob Zombie's quote, "Art's dangerous," and to me, art brings on an emotion, whether it's negative or positive. It brings on an emotion, and if you can make someone feel an emotion on the piece that you make, you're doing your job.
Absolutely.
And even through the artistic process, I've even had the moment where after a shoot I had to go get a drink because I was like, whoa, this is heavy.
Yeah.
So
there's still some things that we have, some initial footage that I don't want to see, even though I'm in it.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Well, since we're talking, and folks, if you're just tuning in, this is Louisville Arts Live. We do it every Saturday at 3 o'clock. We have in the studio today Harley Morris, who's the producer, director, and writer of Nailed Down, mm-hmm. and two of his leading actors, Ken Parks and Christy Troxell, in the studio as well. Ken, let's talk real quickly about your technique when you're stretching yourself into these roles. Is method acting come into play? What's your technique for assuming these roles?
Yeah, I mean, and like I kind of alluded to, a few minutes ago, it's really about drawing from real life emotion, and one thing that we say in the plays that I've directed or have been a part of, especially at the Alley Theater, is we don't want to see you act. We want to believe your character. We want it to read. We want this to be real. Even if we're doing a comedy or a parody, even in that capacity, if we're not breaking the fourth wall, if we want it to be something up on stage under the lights, then it needs to be believable. And within this one, it literally, because I can't relate to some of the activities that my character is doing in real life, what I have to do is pull from similar things and bring in emotional trauma that has happened in my life, and then let that come through in my facial expressions, in my eyes, in my tone of voice, in my movement.
Oh, he's strained his voice a few times.
Yeah, and this role is challenging, and it's really funny because I haven't done any film really since college. I've just been all stage acting until this, and Along Came a Stranger. And I'm hoping to do a lot more film as well. And Harley and I have some really, really good plans coming up in the future too, to include a lot of people in the community. But this one, you always hear about people on sets in some of the movies, and you hear actors complain, and they're like, "Oh, it was so hard being out in the desert," and people are like, "Oh yeah, whatever. You're making millions of dollars, and how can you complain?" But I will say that
I know where you're going.
the set that we've been predominantly filming in. The basement, garage set, whatever. It's if I can say this, the torture. Set. Yeah, I'm not in a very comfortable position.
Yeah,
and we've done this in the winter and the summer, and with time constraints of everyone and all that. And there's literally where I've been immobile for 4 hours, 5 hours sometimes, and it's not comfortable. And then there's some things,
but it's really added to your performance, though.
Thank you, and that's the funny thing too. To give something to Harley, he's so conscientious, as Wes, my co-star in this, and all the other actors and people involved, Eric, and our wonderful makeup artist Autumn, and everyone else, and Tate, our videographer. It's incredible because everyone like, "Are you comfortable? Is this hurting you? Do you need me to make this looser?" And I'm just like, "No, tighter." Because I want this to be believable. I want people to see this, and they're not seeing me acting up there. They're in my character's role. Sure. They're experiencing it. They're like, "Oh my God, what would I do if that were happening to me? How would I feel?" Or, "Yeah, I would act like that too." Or, "Oh my," I want them to believe it.
Well, and the same thing with Christy as well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I went to you the next day. "Are you okay?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm actually fine."
I got several emails the next day asking if I was all right, and I'm like, "I'm good." It was pretty outside of the box for me too.
Oh yeah,
it was definitely something I didn't know I was going to be able to do, and kind of surprised myself as well. But yeah, I was all right.
Well, not to embarrass Christy,
Yes.
but I have to say that Christy and I are dating, and I knew she was a spoken word artist and a poet, and she's been published. She's amazing poetry. And what I didn't know is that she would be capable of acting, and she did it a long time ago in high school, junior high school. And I wanted her to try out for a play last year at the Inhuman Festival. I was directing a play at the Alley Theater, and she had to try out. I couldn't just give it to anyone. And Harley will say the same thing for him. Everyone has to try out for Harley. That's one thing about the community here. We're friends, but we still want people who have talent and are the right people for the right parts.
Sure.
Yeah, but anyway, make a long story short, what we saw from her, I wanted her cast in my show. She's also cast in 2 others by director Dana Hope. And what we saw and what everyone said is, "Wow, you have some natural raw talent. You really need to go do more with this."
And I've seen some of her live performance. She's really talented.
Yeah,
absolutely.
She doesn't give herself enough credit.
No, she won't say this, which is why I am. But when she did, John Hetzel did History of the Devil by Clive Barker, right. And she had one of the lead roles. Really, really strong supporting role. Yeah, it's Jane Beck, and she was amazing. She floored everyone. And when she tried out for this with Harley, we can't talk about the audition, but we were just floored. We were literally speechless.
I still haven't watched the audition footage after filming it. I mean, it's wow.
Yeah, it was intense. So.
I don't know if it's even going to end up on extras. That's
No, actually, that's when I saw Christy at History of the Devil, and that's when I became a fan. So, yeah,
Oh.
she's got some great talent. She really does.
Thank you, Sean.
Christy, let me ask you, how does it feel to be a part of this project? And, I mean, what does it take for you as an actor or beginning down this road for yourself to put yourself in that role? It sounds very intriguing. I want to see this
intense
movie now. So
Yeah.
I'll show you some pictures later.
Yeah, I'm very honored to be working with Harley. He's so passionate about what he's doing, not to mention all the actors, Ken, and then the crew and everyone is amazing. Very close knit. Everybody's very invested in making this the best that it can be, which is just great to be a part of. You know, and with the role being kind of
What it is.
a risky part for some people to maybe take on, everybody was so supportive as far as making sure everyone was comfortable, everybody's good. So that was great. As far as getting ready for it, I literally I take a moment by myself and I just blank. Christy's gone. Now I'm in this scenario. So it's not so much... I pull from emotion, but not scenarios, really. I just try to become somebody in that situation. And obviously, to do so, you have to pull in some sort of emotion from some sort of in that realm of what you're going for. But I typically just go, take the moment, close my eyes, Christy's gone, open up, now I'm in this.
do you find it ever difficult, or does it just come natural to you to take on these roles?
Well,
I think it's the first time you've
this
taken
would
on
be
something
the
like
first.
this. Yeah.
I thought that this would have been very difficult. I really didn't know if I was going to be able to pull this off. Even going into the audition, I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm going to try.
Hey, you had a poker face on.
I did.
Yes, you did.
And you know, to ask Ken, I mean, going into it, though, he knew. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm like, and then, but you walked in the room, Harley told me what he was looking for. I was like, all right, turn into this now. And so I thought it was going to be really difficult. But
And I have to say, with them dating, I think that added to the intensity of what I needed for this scene. So,
Yeah.
Well,
because
just know,
they could be more comfortable with the situation, as comfortable as you can get.
yeah, I think it was twofold. I think it made me a lot more comfortable. I think if it was someone else, I
You
would
probably
have had
wouldn't be able to watch the movie.
I would have had a harder time. But I think then, though, with it being me, it made it more difficult for Ken. So I think it made
Yeah, that's a
easier for
big
me,
role
more
reversal.
difficult for him.
sure.
When I thought it was going to be the opposite way around, actually. So I thought that was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, and as you know, we know this, everybody on the inside, and it's okay to say this, but the audition was harder than the actual scene
was.
because
It really
we
was.
knew what to expect then. You know, it was with the audition, we had no idea. We were kind of all winging it, and it was. I mean, I hate to
I
say
feel like
it.
we're talking in code when we're talking about this.
Well, it's intriguing. People need to see this.
We got
Yes.
a 5-0, paid you call cars.
Folks, if you're just tuning in, this is Louisville Arts Live. We're talking about the movie Nailed Down with our guest host today, Harley Morris, who's a writer, producer, director of Nailed Down, and two of his cast members, Ken Parks, as well as Christy Troxell. And we're talking about the dynamics of the roles that they've assumed with this movie, and talking about the movie in general and in coded terms until the movie comes
It
out.
really is.
Christy, let's talk a little bit about your endeavors in art. You have been in Louisville now. You've been a Louisville native for a few years, and
13 now,
Wow.
which doesn't seem. I moved here when I was 20, so well, almost 13. But yeah, it doesn't feel like I've been here that long. But came here from Chicago.
Chi-Town.
Moved down here because my parents did, and at 20, surviving in Chicago is nearly impossible. And then they moved back, and so the cheese stands alone. So
But she stands tall.
Oh, thank you. So I stayed, and I had always written, but I didn't really share it because the reasons I write is it's more like writing for me is my deep breath.
Your therapeutic
It's
sense.
exactly. I call it my deep breath.
See, that's how
anytime
I am
need
with
to.
my poetry, too. So
Yeah, so, when people tell you to calm down, take a deep breath, for me, that's what writing does. So I did not want to share it because I didn't want that release taken away by people not liking it or saying you need to change this, you're doing it wrong. Yeah,
The critiques, if you will.
No, they're all gonna laugh at you, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, and the first time she ever read was at the Word Spoken.
Yeah, at now
Haymarket.
Haymarket.
Now, but Derby City Espresso.
Yeah.
And it was to huge praise. Everyone
And I
ever
was
since
terrified.
then has been asking her, including you, when are you going to read again? When are you going to read again? When are you going to read again?
And I still get shy about it.
Well, is there any possibility of maybe you performing a piece for us, Christy?
Oh, sure.
I'm going to take that breath away, folks.
I didn't pick anything because Ken just kind of was like, here, take this.
Some of my favorite ones.
Folks, if you're just tuning in, this is Louisville Arts Live. We've got Christy Troxel in the studio. She's going to be performing a live piece, first time on the radio ever, and she's stretching her wings
I
and flying when it
know.
comes to movies now. And
I think someone turned the heat up just now.
Yeah, she's also very funny.
She
Funniest
is very
one-liner
funny,
on
truly.
Facebook.
Trixel book.
Yes. Luckily, all mine are fairly short. So this one's called Coming Down. All right. As I stand tall on the wall I built, I see all the good surrounding me. As I look out at all the chances I missed, I hear the echo of my regrets. As I sip on all my memories, I feel all the smiles in my veins. As I sit on the wall that I built, I begin to think. As I spend my time blowing it all on wasted life, I begin to realize. As I sleep while I walk, I begin to dream. As I start to climb down from the wall I built, I'm no longer soaking in the dark. As I shed the armor I wore, I now feel more protected. As I show what lies inside of me, I no longer feel like I'm doing time. As I reach the ground and put the wall behind me, I see all the amazing people that have been waiting for me. I see the wall was blinding me.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's
Very
deep.
good.
Thanks.
Folks, if you're just tuning in, that was Christy Troxel performing her piece. What was the title of that?
Coming down.
Coming Down. That's great. Well, Christy, tell us a little bit more about what you've got coming up, how folks can follow you and support you in your endeavors.
Sure. Well, tonight is our closing night of Point Break Live at the Alley Theater. This has been a blast and also a little bit more outside of what I thought I could do. It's a little improv-y and
Keep
it's
stretching her,
yeah.
helping her grow.
It's good
Yeah.
for me, though, even though I may fight it at first. It's good. So that will be tonight. Very audience interactive and a whole lot of fun. Don't wear good clothes, though.
We sold out last night.
Bring
We
a
expect to sell
raincoat from what I
Yeah.
hear.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
I saw pictures last night. I wish I was there.
It's fun. Then really the only thing I have coming up after that at the moment is on August 31st, they're doing the Princess Bride experience at the Alley Theater. It is a fundraiser for the Alley Theater, which is nonprofit. They will be doing a full-length movie scripted version of the Princess Bride, but Ken's also involved in this. We will also be doing the Princess Bride in 30 minutes.
Cliff Notes of Insanity.
Cliff
version.
Notes of Insanity, yes.
Inconceivable.
And as most girls growing up dream of being, I will be Buttercup.
Yeah, and here's a shocker.
And Valerie.
Yeah, she's
I also get to be Valerie, but the two most sought after, so I'm pretty excited about it. But we are taking a little time off because we went at it really, really long for a while as far as the plays we were in back to back. So hopefully we'll be back at it August, September. Still have another scene, I guess it was next weekend,
Yep.
to shoot for Nailed Down. Then my scenes will be done with that one. Along Came a Stranger. We just finished shooting for the trailer. So hopefully we'll be back at it in September, but I need to go home to Chicago before I get to Sounds.
Get some family
I need
in.
to visit, yeah.
Well, shout out to the folks in Chicago
Yes.
that are going to be probably tuning in for the show.
Yes, but other than that, I'm on Facebook. So.
Yeah, and I was told
And-
that if I didn't take a break, I was going to be single. So
Yeah. Well,
It's
On
a
your way to
balance,
Chicago,
Ken. It's a
light
balance.
hands.
just exactly balance it out. But yeah. So, but if you like to laugh, sometimes I give some good stuff on Facebook. So.
You give good Facebook.
hilarious.
She gives
I
good
give
Facebook. Folks, if you're just tuning in, this is Louisville Arts Live. We do it every Saturday at 3 o'clock. In the studio today, we've got Harley Morris, producer, director, writer. We've got Ken Parks and Christy Troxel, all a part of the movie Nailed Down, which we've been talking about for the last hour, or going on an hour. Ken, real quickly, though, you have your hands on a lot of things, and I think you've got a few announcements coming up. I think you've got a few events, a black tie event that...
Yeah, thank you. I'd love to be able to talk about those. The first thing we have going on tonight, as Christy said, is at the Alley Theater. We are doing, this is the 4th run of Point Break Live. I got rid of my mullet. I'm no longer Bodie. I'm now doing Papa's. I'm playing Gary Busey this time around.
He's hilarious.
Thank you.
It's Busey.
Ken Busey.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. It was kind of a stretch for me. It was a challenge, and I really enjoyed it. I love all the support I've got for that. But tonight, 7 o'clock door, 7:30. We have a few tickets left. We sold out last night. It's going to sell out tonight. You really want to see this show. It won't be around for another year, maybe longer, and it's just so hilarious. Next weekend, I'm very, very honored to be a part of a special event to help raise awareness, fund, and support for the families of people with autism. And this is by BAFL, which is the Booker Autism Foundation of Louisville. And I'm going to be a guest speaker. I'm going to be talking about some motivational things. Hopefully give some support from some of my experience growing up with a father who had multiple sclerosis and a niece who has autism and teenage schizophrenia. So, and some other things, and talk about art and whatnot. I'm also potentially doing live art, and I'm going to have art there. I'm going to be selling paintings and donating some of the proceeds to the BAFL Foundation. Tickets are $45. It's from 7 to 11 on Saturday. We've got some national, international stars coming in, movie stars, models, spokesmodels. We're going to have local TV stations there. It's a black tie event, which I've not been to in a long time. And it's going to be really, really special and amazing, and it's worth the $45. If you buy one ticket, you get your second one half off. So it's at the Lebanese American Club right across from the Water Tower and Kingfish on River Road. So really encourage people to come out to that. And yeah, I'm just really, really honored to be a part of that and all the stuff we have coming up. Like I said, I won't be doing much except that. I'm going to be doing something with you at Louisville Arts Live. I'm going to hit the studio again. I'm going to be doing some more painting. I've kind of put painting on hold for the last 4 months, being in 5 productions, a couple films.
He's just going to put paint on his butt and sit on the canvas.
Right. So yeah, and yeah, looking forward to the Princess Bride experience with Christy. I get to play Wesley. There's a shocker, which is going to be kind of fun, and the Dread Pirate Roberts. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be very similar to what we did in Star Wars in 60 minutes, or less. So it's going to be kind of some parody, some paraphrasing. It should be a blast.
Well, folks, if you're just tuning in, we've got Ken Parks in the studio. We are live. We do this every Saturday at 3 o'clock. Ken, you're also going to be a guest judge for the Maiden 502 competition, the creative writing competition next Tuesday night. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm excited about that.
If you don't mind, can you talk a little bit more about that? Okay,
yeah.
Be great.
Yeah. And this is kind of a call out to everyone who is a writer, a poet, a spoken word, hip-hop artist, a storyteller. Please come on out every Tuesday for this competition. I'll tell you a bit more about it. If you've ever dreamed about making it big with your writing, or a poet, spoken word, short story writer, and want a chance to achieve your writing dreams, then join us all at Diamonds. It's going to be Maiden 502 Creative Writing Competition. It's every Tuesday for 5 weeks. Started last week. Writers should check in at 7 p.m. and then sign up for one-piece performance. Slots are offered on a first-come, first basis, and performances actually begin at 8 o'clock. Each of the 5 preliminary events will feature up to 25 writers each. Audience members can cast their vote for their favorite performer. A small panel of industry judges, including guest judges, will also select their favorite. The top 2 performers from each week will go to the semifinal round. This will be Tuesday, August the 20th at 7 p.m., and the final will be Tuesday, August 27th at 7 p.m. The top 4 writers will perform against each other at the final, and a winner will be announced. Now, here's the good part. In addition to being a part of this awesome contest, the overall winning writer will receive a publishing contract for 1 year in the Mud Publishing, $500 in cash, a featured showcase performance at Diamond Pub and Billiards, a photo session with Brandon King Photography, media and a press package, and prizes from our sponsors. First place winners from each week will receive actually $100 in cash for winning. On occasion, we may be forced to postpone the sign-up or cancel these 502 nights due to private events or public concerts. So be sure to follow us on Facebook or Twitter for updates. You can also visit www.madeand502.com or call 502-230-1771.
Thank you so much. And folks, if you're just tuning in, we do this every Saturday at 3 o'clock. Harley, I think we're going to do a quick song. What's the name of the song we've got?
We've got a song by Jim James called State of the Art. And it's off his album, Regions of Light and Sound of God. Released February 5th, 2013.
All right, here you go.